partage mon screen, par contre. Hello, everyone. Good morning from Belgium.
Morning. Hello, everyone. That it's Richiness. Hello from Italy, I think. From Spain. Hello, everyone.
So we are waiting a little bit more, just few minutes. Hello, 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 Mary-Kate.
Hello, Lawrence.
Good morning, everyone. How is everybody today?
Oh, really great. I speak for myself.
Yeah, is it very hot in Belgium?
Yes.
It is.
Right, and I suppose it must be hot where other people are as well.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, well, it's like 19 degrees here in Ireland. Oh, my scarf fell out. It's 19 degrees here in Ireland, and it's very cloudy. And we had rain yesterday, and we, of course, don't get as much sunshine as you guys do on the continent, right? So
Yes, right.
it's
In Belgium, we have like 36 degrees. It's
oh my God, look at
exceptional.
that. It's
Yeah.
35 degrees in Prague. Oh
We
my
can say
God.
that 35 is in Prague.
I have to say, because I'm from Ireland, this heat would make me very ill, I think. I would not be able to deal with it at all. So
it was warm and humid.
yes.
Oh, 40 degree in Madrid. Hello,
Oh my
Marcia.
God.
Maria.
My God. Oh my God. Oh my, I just wouldn't, I'd have to stay inside. I don't think I'd be able to even go out because 37 in Hungary. Oh, well, I hope you're all in air-conditioned buildings and homes and everything, and that you're all looking after one another. You should all come to Ireland. It's cool in every sense. Wow. Air conditioning is running. Yes, I can imagine. Oh my God. So, are we waiting for people to start? Who are we waiting for?
Yes, we are waiting until 5, more or less. Just a little bit more participants, because normally today we will have more than 60 participants.
Yes.
So let's see.
Yes. I'm just wondering, is Olivia here this morning?
I am. Sorry.
You are. Good morning, Olivia.
Hey, hello, Olivia.
Hello, Olivia.
I'm having a bit of issues with my Teams for a change. So just trying to figure out what's wrong here. I might log off and log back on.
Of course. No problem.
So the Cardia team, it's well represented.
Yes. Yes. So, of course, I'm a bit tired this morning, people. I went to see Duran Duran last night, okay? And in Cork, they were playing, and it was outdoors, and they were brilliant. I was dancing to the music all night, but my bones are now all sore. So it's like, what did I do to myself, right? So it's like, oh my God. But it was such fun. I have to say, they were really brilliant, really, really good. Oh.
Okay, maybe we will start.
Yes.
Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to this Cardia webinar. I will put just my idea up. Science for All, building a brighter, more diverse and dynamic future in research and education. So we are Laurence and Véronique from the University of Liège and part of the Cardia project team. We will be guiding you through today's session. It's great to see many of you from across Europe. Thank you for joining. So this webinar is part of the Cardia Horizon Europe project, which aims to strengthen the role of research managers across Europe, with EDI values at the heart of that mission. The session will last about more or less 90 minutes. You will first hear insights from the Cardia EDI survey presented by our colleague from Poland, Justyna Lagan. Then we will move on the 3 short presentations from university actively working on EDI. So today's speakers, Justyna Lagan from the Polish Academy of Sciences, Katarina Pirs, sorry for the pronunciations, and Kaja Zapędowska-Kling from the University of Lodz, and finally Manon Godby from the University of Liège. But before diving in, let's start with a quick icebreaker. It's called Agree or Disagree. You will hear 5 short statements. For each one, simply type agree or disagree in the chat. So the first one, the research manager role is mostly a support administrative job for scientists. Agree or disagree?
We would like also to say that there is a transcription on this webinar, so you can see maybe the subtitle. If not, there are a way to make it appear on your screen.
So we have a lot of disagreeing. Okay. Then the second one. People with disabilities have the same access to research management roles as anyone else. What do you think? Okay, good to see your responses. It depends. Okay. Disagree to my regret.
This make you already reflect and will give you some idea of what will be presented in the survey.
Well, it depends. Okay. The third one. As a researcher manager, you should be recognized for your competencies regardless of your gender. Agree or disagree? Oh, for this statement, it's agree. Okay. Okay, good to see. These ones. So research management is a career path with strong visibility and recognition. Are you agree or disagree with for this one? Disagree. Okay, more disagree people here. Okay. And the last one, most research performing organizations are inclusive environments. Agree or disagree for this one? Disagree, agree, okay. I wish. Depends. Cool. Depends, agree. Okay, perfect. Thanks for jumping in. That was fast and revealing. Yeah.
They try hard.
They try hard. Yeah.
Good.
So you have already touched on the keys area from the Cardea survey: perception, access, bias, and identity. So now let's now look at the what numbers tell us. Justina, over to you. I will stop my PowerPoint and let you share yours, okay?
Okay, thank you, Laurence. Welcome, everyone. I will try to share my screen and presentation. Let me check if I can do that without the problem. Okay, and here. Yes. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Laurence, thank you.
Yes, we
So
see.
you have to,
but maybe you have to put bigger. Yes, perfect. Thank you, Justina.
It was or not?
No, it was perfect. Yes, perfect.
Okay, so thank you. Okay, so welcome everyone. Like ladies said before, my name is Justina Wagan, and I work on the daily basis at the Institute of Nuclear Physics of the Polish Academy of Sciences. Today, however, I'm mainly representing the part of the Cardea team responsible for the EDI values policy. With the current trends in scientific communication, scientific communities bringing together not only the researchers, but also the administrative staff supporting their activities, the value politics of the EDI are extremely important. Supporting those in a research manager role to develop a deeper awareness of the importance of their work of the scientific community was our main objective in the Cardia project. We achieved a massive amount with an effort made up of the skills and knowledge of the people from the different countries and cultures, from different scientific organizations, people from people of the diverse genders and ages. Hence, our teamwork has become the answer to why it is so important to have an EDI values policy in every environment, especially scientific ones. Hence, the idea of our webinars to help you understand and learn more about the values of the EDI. However, before I conclude on the values of the EDI among the scientific community, I would like to briefly show you what we have achieved so far in terms of the value of the EDI. In 2023 and 2024, we focused on the analysis of the main Cardia survey, which showed us the work path to how the European research managers community is currently shaping up. Based on that data, we identified 3 areas of the intervention of the EDI values. However, we decided to use 2025 to explore the nuances between the different working environments of research managers and we focused on the interviews with the people from different academic backgrounds and government representatives to understand the specific of the and promoting the values of the EDI. An action plan prepared in this way gives us the opportunity to share with you the data from the environments. However, let's first focus on the 3 areas where the need on intervention arises to EDI values. One of the key and most challenging areas in which we are look at equality is the issue of gender balance. It's not just about how many women and men work in a particular place. Equally important is how they feel about their jobs and whatever they have equal to progress. The Cardia team asked people in RM role about their experiences. It turns out that many as 73% of the all responders were women. That is the more important is what is racial looks like in the different countries and how it affects every working life. Some countries in Europe handle this quite well. Denmark, Belgium, Greece, for example, where the numbers of women and men. However, it's not so evenly distributed. For example, in Croatia, where only 70% research managers are men. Such disproportion may indicate rooted patterns that continue to influence career decisions and opportunities for the both sex. Research managers were asked, however, they were satisfied with the participation of the women and men in decision-making and management. The most positive responses came from UK, where up to 42% rated the situation well. Spain and Croatia also score well with 38% satisfied. However, not everywhere is so optimistic. In France and Germany, only around 30% of respondents view the balance positively, with the rest expressing the dissatisfaction. In the terms of equality of opportunity in career development, Spain and Croatia again stand out positively, with 37% and 35% of the respondents declaration themselves satisfied with the current situation. In France, on the other hand, a stunning 34% of the people admit that they are not satisfied with low career progressions looks in the terms of the gender. That shows that despite the progress, many countries still face inequalities in access to the influence and the promotion in science. The second important area we highlighted in our analysis of the CARDIA survey is diversity and inclusion. At the heart of the issue is the participation of the people with this research leadership position. The Union to promote the civil rights and labor force participation of the people with disabilities. We have therefore paid particular attention to what extent these people are employed as research managers. From the survey, 2 countries stand positively, Ireland and 20%, where this is the proportion of research managers who declare they have a disability. In Germany, Belgium, Denmark, none of the research managers identify themselves as having a disability. That shows growing awareness. There is a still lack of genuine representation. It's more attention. The third important area in the context of EDI values, equality, diversity, and inclusion, is national diversity in the in any industry, including science, not only gender and age balance, but also the ethnic and cultural backgrounds are important. Teams made up of the people from different backgrounds and perspectives are better to solve problems and more innovative and creative. Research shows that people working in diverse teams are more likely to have access to their career development and are more satisfied with their jobs. And yet, as many as 87% of research managers in Europe work in their country of their birth. There are exceptions, however. The greatest diversity of the backgrounds among research managers was found in Italy, Spain, and Ireland. By contrast, in the countries such as Poland and Greece, all responders work in their home of country. That shows that in some place there is still need of from other cultures and background. However, working on the main area survey and talking to the people in the research manager's role, we came up to the hypothesis perhaps they are treated differently or even perceived different depending on which employment sector they work in. We therefore decided to divide them into 3 groups and sectors: scientific and research, scientific and education, commercial. To confirm that theory, however, we need more data. So a second survey was therefore created, an EDI focused survey only on a selected topic. Let me share with you the surprising conclusion that we have after the second survey. Of the things that did not surprise us was that 83% of the respondents identified themselves as a woman. Of the works in the scientific and educational, and none of the responders marked their work as commercial. So this was a huge surprise to us. So, like you see, the further conclusion were as follows: no data available on the person working in employments which we consider to be commercial. The dominant group continues to be those who describe themselves as women. Level of the satisfaction on gender equality in the research careers issue is worrying. Almost half of the responders are dissatisfied. The same is true for the satisfaction in area of the measures against gender-based violence, including sexual harassment. The level of the satisfaction is still very high. In addition, those surveyed who identify themselves as a man see problems related to these areas. Approximately 80% of responders indicate some level of disability, which is quite good and very good, I would say, in Europe. However, almost 71% of the respondents report that there are no opportunities for advancement in their career paths. And 79% of responders report that there is a gap in their organization, but when they ask about the programs to support and reward the values of the EDI in their organization, as many as 38 report that they have no such knowledge. So, summarizing the data allowed us to conclude that people in the role of RMs from private sectors, commercial, like we call them, perhaps do not see themselves as research managers, and that we need to work on future analyzing how to support these RMs from backgrounds we already know. So this is all from me. I hope you have some conclusion from my analysis. So thank you for your attention, and I will stop share my screen, and I will give I give the floor for Kasia Pysz from UCC, University of Cork, to show you her presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justina. It was really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Justina, and welcome all, and good morning all. And I want to especially welcome and say hello to my colleagues, Mary-Kate and Olivia, from very hot Poland. It was an unexpected trip. I'm not with you in Ireland. I might need to switch off my camera because I notice my coverage here is not the best sometimes. So I will start sharing my screen first. And let's see how it goes. Can you see it all?
Yes. Yes, perfectly. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. So my name is Katarzyna Pysz. I'm originally from Poland, but I work as a data analyst in the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion unit at the University College Cork, or UCC, in Ireland. So CARDIA's partners very kindly invited my unit to deliver this presentation about all the work that the university has done over past decade. It took a long time to achieve some impact in the various projects, initiatives, and actions, which we all committed to, and we did, and they had some positive change on the ground for our colleagues and students. So Firstly, I will introduce the context, and apologies for those, especially my colleagues in Ireland who know it, but most of you wouldn't. So Irish context and also the framework through which my university has made the progress and the work. And then I will demonstrate some data points and some case studies evidencing our progress with our work. And I will finish on the future plans and some summary points. So context, you might be familiar, Ireland is a small or comparatively very small European country of over 5 million people. National University of Ireland is a system of constituent universities and colleges. UCC is one of the 4, but we also have other colleges. And on the left-hand side, you see some statistics, high-level statistics from 2024, for your information, provided by the Higher Education Authority, or HEA. So HEA is our statutory body in Ireland, providing policy, advice, and also governance oversight for the higher education in Ireland. So in 2024, there were over 35,000 staff working in the sector, all grades, all levels. So this is for your context. And you can see here that both staff and also the presidents or heads of our institutions were gender balanced. The UCC was established in 1845 as one of the 3 Queen's colleges. The campus is spread out throughout the beautiful city of Cork, and we have 4 colleges: arts, then medicine and health, sciences, engineering, and then business and law, and 27 schools. I won't go through the slide, it's very busy, but just 1 or 2 points. UCC is ranked in the top 3 universities worldwide. This is according to the Times HE World Impact Ranking, specifically strong in sustainability, environmental education, sustainable development goals. And in 2024, we had over 3,500 staff, and 30% of staff and 21% of students came from abroad. Again, busy slide. You are more than welcome to see it afterwards more in detail. So in 2023-2024 academic year, we had over 25,000 students, and the statistic is interesting. 1 in 5 came through various access pathways, because we have access pathways to education in Ireland, for example, from disadvantaged background pathway, mature student, student with disability, and so on. And research, UCC is renowned in Ireland, but also abroad, as a research-led university. So we have over 70 research institutes and centers in 4 colleges. Some strong research areas would be pharmaceutical agents, innovation, biosciences, environmental sciences, cancer research, and microbiome, and so on. We have over 1,000 research staff and over 1,400 postgraduate research students. If you are more interested in how the research looks like, as you see, here is the link to the website. I won't read through this very quickly. This is my unit, comparatively recently established in 2018 under the Deputy President's and Registrar's Office, 6 full-time staff members, and our team's mission is to work together with the entire community of UCC to promote, advance, and progress the principles of EDI in a way that is meaningful. And the link there will bring you to our website when you can see more what we do. So our work occurs within a legislative and policy-led landscape. So we are guided by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, by the Irish Employment Equality Acts, but also by the Higher Education Authority, Gender and Race Equality Action Plans, and so on. I add the slides at the end thinking I will need to ask this question, equality matter in research. You might be familiar or very well familiar with the so-called reference man. It's a composite of data from various races and geographies and so on. It was usually presented as this young, fit, Caucasian male of standard size and height. And it was introduced in the 1970s to understand what levels of radiation were safe for humans. However, allegedly is still used as a model in anatomy lessons, a model for car seats, and so on and so on. So women who, as we all know, comprise of 50% of the human population, were treated as small men. And women were, and I think still are, often excluded in clinical trials, for example, because of their reproductive cycle, which makes research maybe more tricky. So the impact of this disregard for individual differences, for gender differences and so on, it is obvious in a way. Anytime a small woman like myself, I'm quite small, wants to be comfortable in an average car, its car got progressively much better with time, but it's still obvious that the dimensions were designed using the reference man. And I gave you these two brilliant sources, both the Invisible Women by Caron Credo Perez and the Guardian's article. There are the links there if you want to read more. So apart from having data that is not biased, or research teams and so on that create innovations for everybody and not only for standard persons who don't exist, researchers also now need to have the gender equality plans in place if they want to be eligible for funding, especially with agencies such as Horizon Europe. And then the integration of gender dimension into research and innovation content is a requirement by default. And if there are two proposals with the same score, what is the ranking criterion then? Who wins is the team who considers gender balance in expert groups or research teams. So it is also important for funding big time. And this is the links there at the bottom to the Irish agencies, two main ones, there are others, Irish Research Council and Science Foundation Ireland, and they have very, very similar expectations of researchers here. So now I'm going to introduce the Equality Framework and Accreditation Scheme, which provides the main structure for equality work and recognition in Ireland. So Advanced HE was established in 2003 at the University of York in England, and among advice, training, membership, leadership, development for all higher education professionals, researchers, managers, everybody, academics, they also provide two equality charters, race and gender. So the charters are very useful frameworks through which institutions can tackle inequality for staff and students. They're very useful in a way they expect standardized data and then standardized reporting, which then institutions can peer review themselves and compare like with like. And the specific charter, Gender Equality Charter, Athena SWAN, is where all my data points will come from. So SWAN stands for the Scientific Women Academics Network. It was first established in 2005 when a group of women, that were academic women, professors and so on, noticed obvious gender imbalance in the more senior grades. The higher you went, the less and less of women, even though at the lower grades, they could have been even 50%. So something happened with the career pipeline. Women were dropping out. They wanted to understand that why. They established a charter, which was then extended to Ireland in 2015 and greatly expanded as well. You can see here, includes now all professional roles, not only academics, also professional support staff, research staff, all genders, wherever is gender imbalance in men, women, transgender, non-binary stuff, and so on, and also intersectionality. And currently we are using the 2021 version of the charter. So when the president, because it's usually the president is required, or the most senior leader, to sign the charter on behalf of the university, they committing on our behalf to address structural inequalities, injustice, negative culture, negative behaviors, such as bullying, for example, casual contracts, and so on. There are 3 levels or medals: bronze, silver, gold, and it's all evidence-based. It's very much data-driven approach. So, for example, to achieve around group of colleagues and students, they meet together a year. They presented with data, featured gendered equality data, and they think, and they ask themselves a question. It's a bit like a research study, a large research study they conducted. So they ask a research question: do we have any gender-based inequalities in this institution? How can we address them? And so on. And they come up with a SMART action plan. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So they have to be very, very good actions. And then they achieve bronze. That's fine. However, this award is never just once and forever. And they need to prove after 4 years, usually, now it's after 5, that they are making progress against their actions, against their data, baseline data. So once they prove it, that they achieve bronze renewal. And finally, for silver, and this is the award our university got, for silver, they have to prove more than progress, then they have to prove impact, which means what sort of specific actions that you did or implemented resulted in the real positive change in the real world. So it is all very rigorous, you can see. And quickly the slide. So you can see that it is internationally recognized. Finland is UCC Institute, Tyndall, and UCC is one of 4 universities in Ireland with a silver award, which is quite prestigious. And the key benefits, apart from the funding, because our researchers can now say that the university has Silver Gender Equality Action Plan, which is the Silver Athena Swan Action Plan, and secure funding. It's also badge of honor, and it has a real impact on career opportunities, on students, enhanced culture, and so on. So finally, coming to the data points. So our journey took a decade, as I mentioned. Before 2016, 2014 is already when the first self-assessment team met. You can see it doubled over 9 years in terms of actual numbers, but also more importantly, more than doubled was the engagement of our senior leaders. University leadership team is one of the most senior decision-making bodies. So we had 7 of them in 2024. So the university identified these 3 EDI priority areas. Each applicant is required to do that between 2019 and 2023, 2024 to work on. And now I'm going to present the progress and impact of the work and actions against these 3 priority areas. So firstly, first priority was for us to embed EDI as a field of work within our university structures and governance, even data systems. So we had been receiving feedback from colleagues that they were unsure about the position of EDI within the decision making. Was it just a nice concept? Was it a box-ticking exercise? And so on. So what we did, you can see here, all the blue-green areas are the EDI committees and groups. They sit right under the university leadership team, which then reports to the president and to the governing authority. It has not only increased greatly our recognition of who we are and what we do, but also hugely improved efficiency of, for example, recently I attended this meeting of a Equality, Diversity, Inclusion, Belonging committee, and a new policy of early pregnancy loss leave was approved during the meeting, just after the developers of that policy presented it. I was told that it was very quick and it would have taken many more steps before and much longer. So secondly, the buy-in from the top leadership. Here in the middle, this gentleman with glasses is our president, Professor John O'Halloran. So the buy-in from the top leadership allowed us to launch our first institutional EDI framework, and also to ensure that there is minimum 40% of gender representation at all the main university governance structures, such as academic council, ULT, and governing authority, and so on. And finally, we had some success with embedding governance, EDI governance at the college levels. So we have currently 2 out of 4 colleges have vice deans for EDI, and we plan that all colleges will have this role in place. And another success with embedding at the EDI was achieved by ensuring that our colleagues in the quality unit, also audit office, had EDI proved their processes. We also encourage all colleagues to be aware of the public sector duty, which is a legal obligation in Ireland, to have regard and to act to eliminate the discrimination, promote equality of opportunity, and to protect human rights of public sector staff and service users, all of them. This is my role per se. Before 2022, my post didn't exist. So all the university staff and student central data were not that accessible, or even existent sometimes when it came to capturing data that could help us assessing the true gender, ethnicity, inequalities, disability statistics, and so on. So we have made some great progress in this. A lot of statistics and data points which I'm presenting today are there thanks to the increased capacity in our data reporting systems, and thanks to the role like my role, which I'm able to focus on it, and I'm able to run all the extensive consultations with staff and students. Second priority for the university was to address the gender imbalance in senior grades and roles. UCC had only 17% of women in the full professorial grades in 2018, and you can see increased to 30% in 2003, and when we were reporting the data, and now it's over 33% when I checked recently. In terms of researchers, you can see 25% of women in senior research fellow grades in 2018 increased to 50% in 2023, and then similarly senior postdoctoral grade. How did we do it? Well, it was years-long sustained effort of supporting women in their career development, by funding leadership programs, by mentoring them, by encouraging them to apply for promotions, and so on. And the third final priority was to make our university a more friendly, family-friendly, more connected place, reduce negative behaviors, improve our culture, and so on and so on. So after working with our HR, now People and Culture department, the university developed 5 new leave policies, family leave policies. So you can see the first four of them: fertility, surrogacy, foster care, domestic violence. They didn't exist before 2024. They are coming with entitlements. There is also menopause support leave policy. In late 2024, we also launched 2 staff networks for carers and for staff with disability and neurodivergence. These networks were added to already existing networks such as LGBT plus staff network, Race Equality Network, and MNO, which is Irish for women, MNO and UCC. The networks are not only like peer support groups, which is great, but also quite influential in their ability to lobby for their interests and needs, because the chairs from the network sit on various decision-making bodies. And couldn't present just statistics without the case stories and the faces, and just to give the human factor to all of this. So I will fly through the 5 stories selected out of more than 20. They were showcased during our silver Tina Swan accreditation ceremony. So this project was led by a HR research team. Mary Kate is in the audience today. It was to address gender imbalances in research by developing this 6-month professional skills for research leaders program. And then the impact, I already gave the statistics, the increased headcount of women, including the senior roles. This one was about making academic staff promotions processes and entire experience much easier and more accessible. There were some great impacts coming from that, also the increase in staff satisfaction. This project UCC leads is one of the leading universities in Ireland when it comes to challenging and sorting out sexual harassment and sexual violence. This is our flagship project. Bystander intervention enables bystanders. So persons who might experience or witness something that worries them, to empower them and to act in a safe way to prevent violence. And this program is available to all staff and students in UCC. You can get a digital badge, but it was also rolled out to all higher level institutions in Ireland and beyond the sector, to Irish armed forces and to sporting bodies. So some great impact there. UCC is very proud to support its, for years, for decades now, LGBT plus staff and students. So we have the first ever rainbow walkway that was installed on the university campus in Ireland in 2021. It was repainted in 2025. You can see the walkway there. It's installed on one of our footpaths, and it's been always receiving great feedback from students, staff, and visitors. We also have gender-neutral bathrooms. University co-sponsors Cork Pride marches and participates in the parade. Our president also has very high level, it's called President's Pride events for staff and students with various workshops, presentations, and so on. The final case story was picked to highlight that many great initiatives was at the school level. So here, the School of Clinical Therapies, who are also Athena Swan award holders, designed this advisory patient and public involvement panel. They were interested as clinicians how to make the content in their research and in their education more accessible to both patients and to public. So very quickly, just to give to acknowledge some members of our self-assessment team, the Silver Award. The gentleman in the middle is our chair of the team, but at the same time, our deputy president and registrar, Professor Stephen Byrne, and behind him is our EDI director, Dr. Avery Hodge, and this lady in glasses in black was our guest of honor, Alva Smith, who is a renowned Irish feminist academic and LGBT plus activist. Very quickly, work for the future, because EDI work never really stops. We have the award, but if we don't work towards having it, and we can lose it. So we already came up with a number of action plans for the next 4 or 5 years. You can see that all the plans will stem from the goals and priorities of the UCC strategic plan. Then we have our Belonging at UCC framework action plan, and then this will be expanded into 6 action plans. This one already exists, Athena Swan, or Gender Equality Action Plan. We are also developing race equality, disability, LGBT+, and other action plans. So EDI Framework Action Plan has 51 actions over 4 years, 41 owners. Very quickly there, you can see screenshots from our tracker. This is how we track our progress. If you click at the bottom there, you can access, it's available online, the full plan and the framework. And the other action plan, it's the University Gender Equality Action Plan, 84 actions over 5 years and 65 owners. This very screenshot shows specifically actions related to my office. My role is to increase capacity in our data systems to make them collect even more richer equality data. I won't read through this, but just to highlight to you, the university committed the resources over the next 5 years to address these institutional priorities regarding gender equality and also additional equality grants. For example, ensuring that EDI is embedded in teaching and research, supporting staff with disabilities, proactively addressing equality in contracts, and so on. Final slide, some key messages to take home. So leadership buy-in is fundamental to any work you do. For example, whenever we encounter difficulties such as access to data, we could escalate and gain support from the people sitting at the top tables, and they could remove the roadblocks for us very quickly. Also, clear governance and embedding EDI throughout the institution are key. Secondly, make sure that you create cultural system that supports the entire community, and the community will repay by embedding EDI locally. So none of these actions or achievements which I presented could have been achieved by the leaders or by my EDI unit alone. So we had tens, probably hundreds of colleagues across colleges, HR department, research office, building and estates, and so on, working together for a decade to get where we are. And they did that because they believe, obviously, in the cause, but also they knew they were listened to. So our office has this culture. We communicate the main funding, the main progress achievements in the format you asked, we did. So we have data to back it up. So everybody knows, okay, EDI is not only the box ticking exercise, it actually makes difference. And the final message to take home, people are inspired by improvements to the culture and working life and promotion opportunities and so on. However, they want to equally see the long-term vision. They want to see their differences or their loved ones' differences and challenges in the institution key priorities and actions. And by the way, the key priorities and actions which I presented were not imposed in any way on our community, but came from the community, came after the consultations. And I couldn't have finished this presentation without giving the visual floor to all the incredible people I work with, such as a selection. My team is here in the middle. it's their passion, their talent, the commitment, what they do, which ultimately makes everything possible. And thank you. I am contactable by this email address, but also by LinkedIn. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Katarzyna. Thank you for this speech. And Justyna, please.
Yes, thank you, Katarzyna. I'm always amazed how UCC is far in ADI values in this day. Okay, so our next guest is Zapędowska-Kulik. She's assistant at the Faculty of International and Politics Studies of University of Łódź, member of the University Equality Council, chair of the University of Łódź Work-Life Balance Team, and she is research collaborator and teaching instructor of the Women's Studies Center. So the floor is yours, Kaja, and I give you the voice.
Thank you, Justyna. I'm currently trying to upload my slides, so please give me a few more seconds. And thank you for inviting me. This is actually my first opportunity to cooperate with the CARDIA project. And I'm also impressed by the previous presentation. So thank you, Katarzyna, for a number of best practice from Ireland. I think it will be easier right now to introduce the idea of diversity management. So I was invited by Justyna Łagan to contribute to today's webinar by addressing the concept of diversity management and actually preparing some arguments in favor of applying diversity management in your organizations. So Justyna already introduced me to the nice group of audience members. So I represent the University of Łódź, Poland today, where I'm employed at the Faculty of International and Political Studies. And I cooperate, I've been cooperating for the last 15 years with the Women's Studies Center in Łódź, which is actually one of the first women's studies centers in Central and Eastern Europe. It was created in 1992. So I'm also involved, similarly to CARDIA, I'm also involved in a number of international research projects. So currently I work with the Horizon Europe FEAST project. This is the project that actually deals with Green Deal and food policies. But we, as an institution, we are responsible for gender impact assessment within the project. And we also work with one particular vulnerable group, which is represented by elderly people. So we cooperate with the residents of the senior home in Poland. What is the purpose of my presentation today? So first of all, I'm going to provide arguments for applying diversity management as an effective strategy for composing project teams in different types of organizations. And definitely this workshop is based on an assumption that more diverse workforce brings more insights, more complex analysis, and more fruitful results. So I hope I don't have to convince you that diversity management is necessary, but I hope I will at least provide some theoretical framework and some arguments that you can spread. And my speech, my part will be divided into two parts. First, some theoretical framework for inclusiveness and a practical task at the end. We will try together to create an inclusive workplace for a highly diversified team of employees. So I will try to activate you at the end, even on chat, but still. So at the beginning, I would like to explain the terminology that I'm going to use today. So definitely diversity is at the center of our interest today. And diversity means variety and a range of different people. But from a purely sociological point of view, this is a practice of or quality of including or involving people from a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds and or different genders, sexual orientations, etc. So diversity management, it's going to be an approach or a strategy or a process or a skill. Some people say it's a policy that actually learns us how to recognize and increase diversity in organizations. So this is a kind of a strategy intended to achieve better representation in the employment of excluded groups. And it is considered as an added value for companies. So that's why today I will also refer to diversity management as a kind of a synergy effect, because diversity management implies that organizations are committed to building more inclusive decision-making processes. So it's not only a hiring practice, it's not only an employment policy, but it's actually making the decision process and the research process more effective and more fruitful. Another term that is crucial today is definitely inclusivity. So this is a practice or policy of providing equal access to opportunities and resources for those people who might otherwise be excluded or marginalized. So this is the action or state of including or of being included within a group or structure. But what is very important and what I would like to emphasize, inclusivity is not simply diversity and numerical representation. So inclusivity, these are not only statistics, but it's an inclusion which involves authentic and empowered participation and a true sense of belonging in a group or in an organization. So whenever we talk about inclusivity, not only numbers matter, but also the quality of inclusion and the depth of the inclusion. And the last term that I find important for today, please don't get scared. It maybe sound a bit academic. I am not sure what particular disciplines you represent, but this is a quite trendy term within the social sciences and humanities, intersectionality. This term comes from the word intersection, and intersection means, a point where two or more lines intersect, for example, a road junction. So the intersectionality means that all the respective components of one's identity, our identity as human beings, such components as gender, race, ethnicity, nationality, class, sexual orientation, religious beliefs, socioeconomic status, education level, etc. All of these components intersect with each other, creating overlapping and interdependent system of discrimination or disadvantage. So in other words, whenever we apply an intersectional approach in our research, we believe that gender category, simple gender category, is not enough, and that gender category should be investigated with taking into account some broader context and additional variables, for example, gender and race, or gender and age, or gender and class, because these variables intersect with each other and they can lead to multiple discrimination. Okay, so I think it's enough of terminology. and I hope we all understand these concepts similarly. So now we can move to the question, why diversity management is effective. So the first answer, and actually the dominant argument from the literature and from the evidence-based study, says that diversity management leads to so-called synergy effect. And if you want to understand the synergy effect, usually in mathematics, it's metaphorically represented as 1 + 1 equals more than 2, or another version, 2 + 2 equals 5. So the synergy effect, as you can see on the image right now, says that the multiplicity of perspectives and cooperation of highly diversified team usually brings better results and better effects. And what do I mean by better results? Well, more innovation, more critical analysis, but also more original solutions, and actually changing the status quo or challenging the status quo. Another argument for the effectiveness of diversity management is, of course, the anti-discriminatory dimension. So, quoting the Eurofound publication, the purpose of diversity management is to support and shape the development of adequate and effective anti-discrimination policies in the European Union. So diversity management functions as a support tool to achieve anti-discriminatory framework. The next question for all of us is why diversified teams are more creative. So you don't have to agree with this hypothesis. However, I collected a number of arguments for diversity management. And actually, there are some objective observations leading to the conclusion that highly diversified teams usually are more successful. So please have a look at the list of arguments, at the list of reasons. Some of them are obvious. So we have more members with different viewpoints. And we in the research project teams usually like the multiplicity of viewpoints. So the multiplicity of viewpoints allows for approaching the problem from different angles. We also observe diversified backgrounds, including cultural backgrounds, and also diversified experiences, individual experiences, which can contribute to the research process. We also have a wider range of ideas, which can lead to more innovative solutions. But also something that I find important, whenever we have highly diversified teams, we can easily avoid the risk of the so-called groupthink. And the groupthink is the situation where everyone agrees with the rest of the group and there is no brainstorming and the consensus is reached very quickly. So sometimes from the research point of view, the groupthink is not a very creative environment. Another argument for highly diversified teams is a more critical evaluation of ideas. So whenever we have a highly diversified team, we can be almost sure that our product, that our discovery, that our publication will be almost free from weaknesses because we have a wide range of critical arguments coming from people of different experience and expertise. Another aspect which is quite obvious, but also very important, the more diversified the team, the wider range of skills we have as leaders or as managers. And I mean both technical skills, but also interpersonal skills. So the competences, the skills of the team members are complementary to each other. And last but not least, this is maybe a little bit revolutionary argument, but the highly diversified team gives you a chance for challenging the status quo, especially when different cultural backgrounds are involved. So I always appreciate the situation where when people ask the question, why is it like that? Why the reality looks like that? Why the, for example, institutional arrangements look like that? So I come from the field of public policy. That's why I like to question the status quo. But these are the reasons for highly diversified team. But what I add from myself is also the list of conditions, because in order to achieve the synergy effect, we definitely need to meet certain conditions. And among the conditions that are very crucial, I can mention equality. And by equality, I mean, for example, lack of gender pay gap. So every team member should be treated equally and should have equal opportunities. Of course, non-discrimination, so no ageist, no racist, no sexist comments or jokes are allowed within the team and within the organization. Comfort and general well-being. And by well-being, I mean, for example, lack of professional burnout or lack of challenges in the field of work-life balance. And then we also have safety. Perhaps safety should go first. And I also mean both psychological safety and physical safety, which is absolutely obligatory, and the common respect for inclusive language. So it also is recommended that all team members speak the same language and understand what an inclusive language is. So now you can ask a question, how to manage diversity? Because we all understand what is diversity management. We all understand the benefits and the advantages of diversity management, but how to achieve it? This is the question, and I hope my next slide will somehow guide you. So these are the practical hints for the leaders, for the project managers. And these are the foundations of the effective diversity management. So first of all, open communication. This is always the point of departure. We need to communicate openly with the rest of the team members, but also training and consciousness raising. I always believe in the effectiveness and the necessity of education. So education, 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 training employees, training project members, but also some consciousness raising campaigns, which can take very informal form, are welcome. Another aspect, identifying and addressing biases. This can be actually quite challenging. We as leaders, we as the managers, project managers, should be able to recognize, but also to address biases or prejudices that are visible in the team. And sometimes the biases are unconscious. Sometimes people are not even aware of the fact that they are biased towards someone. So this is usually the role of the leader, to recognize the biases and to address the biases, which can be addressed again through the training or through the individual conversation. New hiring strategies. So this is these are the basics of human resources activities that we should be open to more diverse hiring practices, and sometimes even positive discrimination can be accepted. By positive discrimination, I understand the temporary privileged treatment of some social groups that have traditionally been excluded from the organization. Another idea, another approach that is recommended is celebrating diversity. And by celebrating diversity, I understand, for example, celebrating some national holidays of group members who represent different countries. Or, for example, using an inclusive calendar in the company, a calendar that is open to different cultures and which involves different national holidays from different parts of the world. And maybe accepting also some elements of ethnicity at work, which can make the workplace even more attractive. Another strategy is accessibility and workplace ergonomics. So again, this is something very obvious for us, but still many workplaces offer no comfort, even from the physical point of view. So ergonomics at work influence the effectiveness of the team, and especially if we take into account the physical impairment or disability of employees. It's very important. And the last point, but not least, transparent policies. Well, each project member should have access to clear and equal legal regulations. So legal regulations should not be hidden, should not be mysterious. They should be easily accessible and transparent to everyone. The legal framework is always important, and the knowledge of law, or at least access to law. So this was my introductory, my theoretical part. So now I would like to offer you a very quick practical task. And this task is entitled, Let's Create an Inclusive Workplace. So right now I'm going to introduce to you the composition of a fictional team. So you have to imagine right now that you complete a project team. And on the left part of the slide, you can see the composition of the team. So in your team, in your fictional team, there will be one physically impaired person. Age and gender is optional. In your team, there is also one case of neurodiversity. So my example here is the combination of ADHD with autism. This is quite common combination of neurodiversity that can be recognized in the society. Another variable that I would like you to take into account is the representation of different nationalities. And I believe our today's meeting is a great example of such transnational character of research projects. So we have the representatives of Pakistani, Colombian, Finnish, American, Ukrainian, and South Korean employees. And the last variable, age range in our fictional project team is between 22 and 76. So this is the composition of the team. And now I would like you to think about 3 different dimensions. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to divide you into rooms. This is what I usually do. I divide my audience members into 3 separate rooms, but we can think together. So group number 1, or the field number 1, is the office, how the office should look like. So it's good to pay attention to the layout, equipment, amenities, and comfort. The second field is communication. So what we should take into account is the language barrier, the generational gap, or biases. And the field number 3 is connected with research and collecting data. And in this case, what we need to take into account is the multidisciplinarity of team members, multiplicity of perspectives, and utilization of potential and skills. So what I would like to propose right now is to either share some ideas on chat, or to maybe allow for one or two voices verbally. But our idea is to invent solutions, how to improve this workplace, having in mind the composition of the team, but also having in mind the 3 different spheres that should be improved. And this is it from my side. I'm wondering whether we have any ideas on chat. I'm not sure if I can observe the chat on myself, but maybe...
I am seeing actually the chat, and of course you have few minutes to, even if we are quite over time, we can take 2 minutes to 3 minutes to receive ID from the chat. If you do have some ID.
Yes, I think it would be great to share some ideas. You also represent different countries and different contexts. So maybe you can share with us any good practice from your experience or any potential solution that can be implemented to improve the inclusivity of the workplace that we fictionally created.
So maybe I can maybe give an idea of what we are doing here in my administration at RISE. We do have indeed some people with diversity, and we have created a room dedicating to relaxation, because unfortunately we have people with some disabilities that need to rest several times of the day. And unfortunately about the illness, and not about this person that it's really weak. And indeed, this room is also a multicultural prayer room. So it's this, correct, Olivia? It's like in here in Liège, we have a multicultural prayer room and a quiet room. Voila. And this is really something that we are proud of here at RISE Institution in Liège, at Liège University.
Great minds. Ronnie.
Thank you very much for sharing the idea. So the quiet room would be probably belonging to the first category, the office, yes? The layout, the equipment, the amenities, yes, and the comfort. So maybe somebody has any good practice in the field of communication or research. Like, I work with seniors a lot. So one of our challenges at the University of Łódź is definitely generational gap. Generational gap, which is additionally a challenge due to the artificial intelligence and new technologies, which makes communication with elderly much more difficult today. Okay, I know we are running out of time, so I'm going to end right now. Thank you very much for this wonderful experience.
Thanks a lot. And
thank you very much, Kaya, for highlighting how diversity drives better results and how to manage it. Very inspiring. So now let's turn to our final speaker, Manon Godby from the University of Liège. So Manon works as a lawyer within the Euraccess service, where she supports international researchers with administrative procedures and also helps them settle and integrate into life at the university and, of course, in Liège. She is also an active member of the university Genders Working Group. EDI is the topic she deeply cares about, and today she will explore the topic gender bias and practical application at the University of Liège. Manon, over to you.
Thank you, Laurence, and hello to everyone. I'm very happy to participate today at this event. So I will share my presentation with you. Okay. Is it working for everybody? Okay.
Perfect, Manon.
Okay, so I just don't see I don't see Zoom anymore, but it's okay, I mean. So first of all, so as Laurent said, I'm an Euraccess Center officer at the University of Liège. I'm a colleague of Véronique and Laurence at RISE, the research administration of the university. And I'm here to talk about gender bias and the practical application at the University of Liège. So just to start, I will ask you to listen to my little story. And if you want, you can even close your eyes, just immerse in my story, but stay focused, of course. So once upon a time, the unconscious bias. So someone arrives at the school gate. They wait quietly. Another person comes out with a group of children. Have a nice evening. They were great today. The child runs up to the first person and they walk off together. Another student waits for their bus near the school. They watch the bus approach. The driver nods in greeting, eyes on the mirror, focused. The passenger scans their transport card and smiles because they see their partner on the bus. Someone boards with a stroller, another gives up their seat, no one speaks but eyes move around. At the next stop, one person wears a suit, another wears stained jeans, and a third carries a gym bag. So this is the end of my small story, or is it really? It was on purpose that I told you this story quite quickly and that I didn't show you the text on screen, because really I wanted that you picture it on your mind and now just ask yourself these few questions. When you think about my story, when you heard me say this story, what was the gender of the person picking up their child, and of the teacher and the driver? Did you imagine a heterosexual couple in the bus? Were the people in the scenario white? And did you imagine any disabled person in the scenario? So if you want, but of course it's not mandatory, it's up to you, you can write the answer in the chat. But I think I can presume one of your answers. The thing that you experience with that story actually are the unconscious bias and most specifically gender bias in the frame of my presentation. So what are there? The unconscious bias and implicit bias are shortcuts taken by your brain to gain time in understanding a situation or making a decision. And the gender bias, it's one direction of unconscious bias, and it's a preference of one gender over another. Speaking of stereotype, it's a ready-made opinion that reduces the special features, often conscious and openly expressed. But why do we have unconscious bias, and when does it happen? Actually, our bias are most likely to be activated by 4 key conditions: the stress, time constraints, multitasking, and the need for closure. We can observe several phenomena that are frequent. First, the halo effect. It's the fact that you have a first impression that can positively or negatively influence your evaluation. The solo effect, it's being the only member of a particular category within a group who makes the person stand out and expose them to criticism. And affinity bias. People have a tendency of favoring candidates who remind them of themselves or who have things in common with them. Actually, these are just a few examples of 150 unconscious bias. Of course, I am not here today to talk about those all other bias, but it's really interesting to know that they exist and that there are so many. And also, one example for the solo effect, of course, is one female candidate within a group of male candidates who run the risk of being evaluated according to gender stereotypes. So, what are the consequences of gender bias and stereotypes? Number bias and stereotypes penalize, even unconsciously, the recruitment of women, as I said. Science and excellence are traditionally associated with men. The independence of women in their scientific and academic pursuits is more often called into question, which can have a negative impact. Candidates who are mothers may be penalized, where fatherhood is favored when men are being evaluated. Groups evaluating candidates frequently discuss informal information, which tends to not be favorable to women, and letters of reference written from female candidates are subtly different from those written from male candidates and can therefore be interpreted differently. And this can also be seen from a very early age with young girls as young as 7 saying they don't like maths at school. Yet there are no studies proving that they are less good at maths than boys. Here you can see a small statistic from the University of Liège. It is the leaky pipeline theory, actually. So first, you can see that there are slightly more women than men in the first year, and the figures are fairly stable. So the orange line is for the women, and the blue line is for the men. Then there is a real shift at the end of the PhDs. And you can really see that the trend reversed and that men overtake women in academic careers. And so this is partly because many women want to start a family and have to choose between their career and their family. And also the mobility required in their career path is also a difficulty for them. Now that we saw that, what are the solutions? Basically, we have a solution at 2 levels. So first, at individual level, so you can, of course, educate yourself or educate groups. And you have a really good test from the Harvard University to know if you have unconscious bias. So really, I invite you to pass this test. Also, slow down the decision making, as we saw earlier that the unconscious bias are linked to too fast decision making, and also recognize one's bias and question cultural stereotypes. At the other level, for the systemic change, we have to adjust our processes and offer trainings and tools. And that's the perfect link to the next slide from my presentation, because I will talk about all the institutional efforts to counteract unconscious and unintentional gender bias. So, what do we do at an institutional level at the University of Liège? We have now the Gender and Equality Advisory Board. It was an official creation by the Board of Directors on October 12, 2022, in line with other equality and anti-discrimination initiatives at ULiège. You can see here on the slide, it was some picture from our Respect campaign before 2022, and it was just the beginning of our gender action plan. So how does it work? The Gender Advisory Board, actually, it's a participative board. This board favors a bottom-up rather than a top-down approach. That is quite challenging, of course, in the academic era, and it's open to the entire university community. So we have students, administrative staff, researcher, and professor. There is also a project manager and a gender contact person, and the other members participate on a voluntary basis. And as Laurence said, I'm a part of this board. We have monthly meeting, and yes, as I said, it's open to everyone. How did it work? The Gender Equality Board was presented to the board of directors, and they produce action sheets. And it was presented on September 2023. It was based on practice and reality specific to the University of Liège. And the objective was to enhance, consolidate, and raise the profile of measures to support Liège EDI. And it is in line with the corporate strategic plan. So I will show you these action sheets. So first, the first action sheet is raising awareness of internal procedure for combating sexist and sexual violence and harassment. The aim of this sheet is to make the reporting, monitoring, and sanctioning procedure for gender-based violence more visible, because it results from a study that these procedures were not visible enough before. The second sheet is about the organization of an institutional day to combat gender-based and sexual violence, including harassment violence. And yes, it's every year, the 25 November. Then the third one, it's the organization of trainings on gender-based and sexual violence. This sheet proposes a needs analysis and the design of training course focusing on gender-based deconstruction of stereotypes and gender-based violence for the entire university community. The fourth sheet is a huge work, actually. It's the elaboration of a charter of ethics and professional conduct. This sheet concerns the drafting of ethics policy on equality and scientific integrity charter, which is currently being drawn up. It should be available at the start of the next academic year in September or October. For the sheet 5, we have all the politics about LGBTQIA+ politics. So this sheet focuses on the fight against LGBTQIA+ phobia within the institution. The university organized workshop and also took part to the parade, the Pride in Liège last August. The sheet 6, the aim of this sheet is to analyze students' feeling of safety at Liège and to improve the measure in place at the university for their security on the campus and also in the city. For the 7th sheet, gender equality in careers, this sheet aims to achieve gender equality and counter what is known as the leaky pipeline, so what I explained earlier. The sheet 8, key figures on gender, with the help of the statistic department in particular. The aim of this sheet is to carry out gender monitoring so to monitor the impact of equality policies over time by means of figures on the distribution of men, women, course and research carried out on gender issue. The sheet 9 aim of this sheet is to analyze the needs of staff and students who are parents or wish to become parents at ULiège, and a gendered dimension that is still an obstacle to career paths at the university. Just so you know, at the RISE level, we organize some creche system, so guardianing system. When they are meeting or even in the evening, there were options for the parents who wanted to participate to leave their child with other staff of the university, so they can participate to the event. And then the sheet 10, so the feminization of classroom names. So this sheet has already been initiated by various work groups from different faculties with the aim of enabling certain women names to resurface in our infrastructure and having rendered invisible over time by sector gender bias. So it's a way to give more visibility for women from the past and especially scientific women. We are convinced that giving place for women in a public space can be also a good way to fight against discrimination. I will just focus on the action about the harassment and gender-based violence, because we took a lot of concrete action at the university. So why at the university? It was really important for us to raise awareness of a taboo subject. There were institutional policy about it, but as I said earlier, they were not visible enough. So it was really important to make promotion around it and be sure that all the community was aware of it. It was also important to restore confidence and facilitate access to the information. And it's really important since the university is a hierarchical and a competitive environment. Here you can see all the tools that we propose at the university. So this is our violence measuring tool. This tool is widely distributed on campus and can be found in display areas and high traffic areas. It has been promoting this tool, which is used to quantify the risk of sexism and sexual violence. You can see here, it's in our building that we call the PhD house. So it's a highly frequented area by the researcher and PhD. We put stickers on the stairs with the violence measuring tool. It was at the instigation of an awareness-raising campaign in the French-speaking part of Belgium. And so we did this action. Here, speaking of our procedure, it's in French, but it is only for you to see that we really try to make new communication and access to the procedure for the harassment and the gender violence. So it's really clear now for the staff and here for the students the path that they have to follow if they want to report any situation. So this is it for me. Thank you for your attention. You have my info here, and of course you can find me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manon. It was really interesting and inspiring too. And thank you for sharing all of this information. So now I know that you have gone a bit over the time limit for this webinar. So sorry. We have like a Q&A slide. Let me show you. Oui, il y a mon texte que je vois. Voilà, sorry, je parle. Tu l'as? Oui. Okay, perfect. So now it's your turn. Feel free to ask your questions in the chat if you want for our speakers of today. Is there someone who wants to start?
You can also write it in the chat if you prefer. If not, you can also come back to us with questions that we can address. If it's
Kaja also put her email address in the chat if you want to contact her. No questions? Okay. We will send it to you, the presentations of our speakers, and you can reach them after that. So we just want to say a big thank you to everyone for your presence, and also to our speakers. It was really nice to hear from you. Also, big thank you to our Cardea team present today. If you want to follow us, you have our different link, website from the Cardea, the Academy, our LinkedIn, and you can subscribe also to the Cardea newsletter. Much more are coming during this year. So we keep in touch.
Right. And as Olivia said in the chat, so much has been accomplished, and yet there is still much more to do. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Justina, you want some concluding word?
Yeah, I will be very quick. I have the presentation, but I will just told you what I want. You probably noticed that I keeping mentioning EDI values policy in my presentation. When I started working on this project, the issue of diversity, equality, inclusion were lofty words for me. An ideal that would be difficult to achieve. Not with the current political situation, not with the organizational culture of the different organizational. It was a moment in which I doubt the point of this project, seriously. And however, the more I read, the more I talk to the people like our guests today, the more I understand that these words, these three words, are values like love, freedom, dignity, honesty, and justice. And if I don't see these three words that make this acronym in this slide, I won't get far in my work. So now I know that EDI is about the values. Whatever you are, a scientist, administrator, or even housekeeping person, making sure to communicate these values to spread their importance is essential for them to exist in the real world. That will still not be a DAO, but we can achieve something more. So thank you for coming here. Thank you for listening us, and thank you for everyone.
So thanks to all of you. Thank you, and see you on next. Mary Kate, you want to take the floor? Just go. I think you can.
No, sorry, yeah. I meant to clap. That was all. I meant to say thank you, everybody. It was great. Everyone who was here, and thank you to all the speakers. So thank you so much.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone, and see you on next event on the Cardia project. Bye-bye, and follow us on the LinkedIn account and on other media. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks a lot.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.